Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, your host of the Beliefcast. Today I sit down with a man who is on the front lines of one of the most important conversations happening in our world today, men's mental health. Joe Tuia'ana is the founder and the CEO of I Love You Bro Project, a Utah-based nonprofit that is leading the way in suicide prevention for men and creating real, meaningful spaces where men can connect, grow, and be seen. Joe isn't just talking about change, he's creating it. Through evidence-based programming and a deep commitment to brotherhood, he's helping men break free from the silence and step into emotional strength. He's been recognized with numerous honors, including an honorary doctorate of humanities and being named one of Utah Valley Magazine's Fabulous 40 People. But beyond all of that, the role he's most proud of is being a full-time girl dad to his 3 daughters. This is a powerful conversation about connection, purpose, and what it really means to show up as a man. So, guys, we are in for a treat today. Joe, thank you for your time today, and thanks for being here with me.
Oh, man, thank you. That makes me sound way better. That was very beautiful. If I could have you introduce me to most people, it would be so awesome.
Well, I've done a lot of research on you since we first got connected, and I just, obviously what you do is well needed, and I can't wait for our listeners to learn more about the good work that you're doing and the lives that you're helping. Before we do that, though, Joe, give us a little background. Tell us kind of, maybe where you grew up and maybe a little bit about your family.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me, brother.
You bet.
Anytime we can have a space where we can talk, especially men, talk about mental health and some, tough, difficult conversations. I live for those things, so I appreciate you.
You betcha.
I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. So that is where I was born, and I like to think Utah is home now. Like if I'm in Utah, I'll say, yeah, I'm from Chicago. If I'm in Chicago, I'll say, yeah, I'm from Utah. But so I had kind of the best of both worlds, and kind of the culture of Chicago and culture of Utah, but also kind of the worst of both worlds as well, So, but I mean, I have 3 older siblings, so the youngest. Growing up in a Samoan family in Chicago is interesting.
I can imagine.
My dad's family's from Samoa, and my mom's family's actually from Italy, and so we like to eat.
Yeah. I often hear too, the youngest in the Samoan family is usually the toughest because they have to fight for themselves with the elders. Is that accurate?
I think tough is subjective, but I mean, I would like to think that I have a toughness about me but also a softness. Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a big heart. There's no doubt about it.
That is what I do. I like the softness first. It used to be that front of that masculinity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm Samoan, but now it's once you have a baby girl, I think it's kind of I kind of just and then another one and then another one. You kind of just lose that, and I don't need that anymore. But
for sure,
growing up in a Polynesian culture, lifestyle at home and abroad is interesting and difficult and beautiful at the same time, and so. I raised my kids in a Samoan lifestyle. We go to Samoan speaking church, and we try to take all the beauty and the respect and the love that the culture has, and then make it a part of our way of life. And so,
yeah, that's beautiful. You have 3 girls that you're really proud of. I know that. Give us a little background on them. Just how what are they up to and what's all the good they're doing?
Oh man, they're so beautiful, bro. It's hard to, I don't know about you. It's hard for me to talk about my kids without getting
for sure
very emotional. And I am super open and transparent with my emotions, and I unapologetically so. And so I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I have a 18-year-old daughter, and I have a 16-year-old daughter. And so I've raised them the majority of their lives on my own, and just beautiful human beings. Without them, I don't think that I don't think I would have the softness and the that I cherish now, that makes me me. Right. They certainly just have added that, and they're beautiful, awesome women who. You hear about, they're independent, strong. They certainly are those things too, but they're just beautiful human beings, and so they help me in every aspect of my life. When I'm good, when I'm down, when I'm you name it. And so they have been with me every step of the way, and I just can't think of my life without them. I just cannot.
Well, I can see you getting emotional talking about them, and thank you for sharing that. You do have this emotional side of you, which is really refreshing.
Yeah.
Did you have that as a younger kid, or did this develop over time, or have you always kind of had this kind of emotional softness? Is maybe not the word, but you were just willing to express your emotions.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive to my feelings and to others. Empathy runs strong. My girls are the same way. Sometimes in the heat of a moment, whether it's anger or sadness or happiness, all three of those on the spectrum of tears, that's how we process and regulate, and that's how I did as well as a kid. And you would get made fun of for that. If someone you're in an argument and you start getting emotional, you're called a baby, you're called and many different names. And in our home, it's just let's give a second, let's practice the pause, let's give that vulnerability space as well, and so I would like to say that I was born with, not born. I was born crying, probably.
Sure, yeah, right.
But also, like, the tears have stayed with me. That is how I specifically now as a man, it helps me. I regulate. Like, if I couldn't cry, I would burn this world down. I'm telling you, and guys who cannot, and many of them come to our weekly support groups. They've never practiced or flexed that muscle, or been given an opportunity to do so. I feel for those guys because it definitely has helped me. And so,
wow, that's awesome. Well, you are the founder and CEO of the I Love You Bro project, and there's a really amazing story, honestly, that kind of inspired you to do this. And this is what I would like to really get into. And if you'll share with us this very sacred thing that happened with you, and so our listeners who may not know how this all came about, if you'll share that with us.
Sure. I've told it a million times, that there's not one time that I've told it where it hasn't or it's depreciated or devalued the experience for me. It's still very sacred and very unique, like all suicide ideation is unique, and for the individual and for those affected by it. And so in the case with me, back in 2022, I had just gotten over COVID, so back it was still kind of that COVID time of, locking yourself away a little, wait for it to pass. And I just waited I think I just got over the 2 or 3 days of, I forgot that word is, where they make you stay there, quarantine. Yeah. And so but mine turned into double pneumonia, and I get pneumonia often. Once you get it once, you get it all the time. It sucks. But, and so I was struggling with pneumonia, but I was also 2 weeks sober, of drinking. So I'm one of those individuals, I'm a man of faith, but I was a functioning alcoholic, operating and giving the optics of a faithful member of a church, and giving the optics of, that guy's got it all put together, and oh man, that is the perfect me, that guy. And so this was just 2 weeks before I had quit, and I was very close to drinking again under the stress of this sickness and all of this stuff that I was experiencing. So, having said all that, my daughters and I, all three of us, or three of them and myself, driving to my youngest daughter's basketball game on a Saturday, late morning, and we came across a bro who was suffering from suicide ideation on an overpass. in Lehigh. And so it's an overpass that we had taken hundreds of times, for activities and other games, and so this particular time, we see this guy pulls over onto the overpass, which in and of itself was peculiar.
Yeah,
they're one lane each way
for sure. Yeah,
and then he got out of his car, and I would like to say I was just, oh, wow, this is just super human person. I was definitely not. I was, and I was like, no, I don't, let's leave this guy alone. Let's mind our own business. Let's keep going our way. I'm late for this game. Let's just keep kind of going. And we just had passed him, and my girls were kind of like looking out the back window to see what this guy was doing. I was like, let's just get to this freaking basketball game.
Yeah.
And there's a stop sign after you leave the overpass, and I stopped there, and I just glanced, adjusted the mirror to see, out the back, and we see him just do this. He just jumps over this protective fencing that's on top of the overpass to kind of deter people from doing something like that. And my kids scream, and I'm like, I have this come to Jesus moment where I'm like, do you just keep going, or do you turn around and try to do something about it? And I was like, almost still, I'm like, I can't believe this. Woe is me. I have to do this thing now. And so I turned around, and I drove, and I parked behind his car on the overpass. And I told my oldest daughter, you call the police. Told my girls in the back, just chill. Like, Dad's got this kind of a thing. Kind of like Dad's got everything in the past. And, bro, I'll tell you, I closed the door. I got out, and I immediately felt the weight of this moment.
Okay.
And it was, first I started sweating, like water was coming out of my face, just pouring. And I was like, I'm going to throw up right now. And then I went from I'm going to throw up to I'm going to pass out on this overpass with this thing happening right here in front of my kids. Yeah. And I said a quick prayer, and I just said, please, Jesus, just let this guy know that you love him. And it's not like, the Red Sea parted or, a water into wine situation, but I had like an extra measure of strength, more like confidence. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I can do this. Start breathing. And then I was thinking, this cannot happen in front of my kids. This cannot happen. Joe, do whatever it takes. Yeah. This cannot happen for the girls. Yeah. Let alone, this can't happen to this guy. And so I was thinking, gosh, just looking like me, I could make the situation worse. And I was like, how can I make myself less intimidating and more inviting, or warm? Yeah. And so I thought, maybe if I just opened my arms out to him and walked slowly towards him, that might work. Yeah. And so I opened my arms to him, like I just wanted to give him a hug, and I just started slowly walking towards him. And it's so loud, by the way, on an overpass. If you're walking, it's so loud.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Interstate 50, I-15 is so busy. It's Saturday, and so I'd like to say I was just saying, I love you, bro. But I was screaming, I love you, bro, to this guy, like just to get the volume over the, the cars. And with my arms open, so I approached him just screaming, I love you, bro, to him. And it was the only thing I could think of to say, nothing else. And gosh, thank you, Jesus. That was all that I said to, it happened to connect with him. He finally heard me, and he started kind of desperately, frantically looking between me and the great beyond. And, I had a feeling to just, I have a really bad rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis now as an adult, and that all disappeared, bro. And I jumped up on this ledge like I was 18, grabbed this dude, picked him up over this fencing and just cradled him like he was one of my kids. and just slid down to the safety of the sidewalk where I was standing. And I just sat with him and just held him in my arms. He was grasping onto me and just repeated, "I love you, bro." And we just sat and just cried together, man. I could just feel how sad this guy was.
Yeah.
And I would say for like maybe a minute or 30 seconds, I don't know. It's kind of surreal, those experiences where time is just crazy. And I had this peaceful, beautiful 30 to 60 seconds just holding him, and I just said, "I love you, bro," over and over to him. And then the next person, people just started showing up. They shut this overpass down. People were parking and coming over, and the first responders started coming. And the first dude that shows up, mind you, I want to preface this with just good people.
Sure.
Just normal, average people out there. First dude shows up, and first thing he says to Aaron, who's my new little brother, I love it off the ledge. He says to Aaron, "Why would you want to do this?" And right after that, this girl showed up, like the third or fourth person.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up, and she says, "Do you have kids?" And he says, "Yes," And he's like, "What would your kids think about this?" It was just one shameful thing.
Yeah, like really. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
And this guy literally came off of the overpass, and just as a dude, just as a normal average Joe, which I still am, holding this guy, I'm like, this is messed up, dude. They're saying to him. He got the help he was needed. They took him over to the hospital. My kids peeled me off the ground, bro. Whatever strength was given to me was removed.
It was gone.
Yeah, and they peeled, and I limped back to my car, and I had just a mob of people who were there, and, can we give you a hug? Very nice, but it was like, just get the hell away from me. I just, give me some space. Kind of a thing. And I got in the car. We ended up going to this basketball game. I asked my daughter, "Do you still want to go?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah." And so we went for the second half.
Wow.
She balled out, but we sat like zombies in the bleachers. All of this has just happened. Anyway, my mom, it was very, like you were mentioning, it was very sacred to me. My mom, I told my mom and my siblings, that's it. My mom talked to all these news reporters. All these people started calling, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." My mom's Italian, so she was very proud, and I'll say that, but and I was refusing interviews with all of these people, and except for one, my good friend Jim Spiewak with KUTV2, he convinced me, if we will put the resources at the forefront, you can really help people by sharing the story. And so I was like, yes, I did it with him. He's still a close friend of mine, Jim.
Good, right.
And so we did the story. It went bananas online. I was doing interviews with Fox News, with MSNBC, with I did this interview with this Chinese lady reporter, and they had an interpreter, on the phone telling me it was the most interesting thing I've ever done.
That's amazing.
But it was getting around that this happened. And so he sees his own story, Aaron, on the news. He sees it he sees probably the link or whatever on social media.
Yeah.
He reaches out to me. He sends me a Facebook message and thank you for saving my life. I'm sorry I made you late for the basketball game. This guy, dude.
You're like,
this guy, and I'm just crying. This is like 4 a.m, and I'm just crying because you never know if you're going to see these people again.
For sure.
Or it's had such a crazy experience, a beautiful experience with them. I gave my number to the first responders. So hopefully he would reach out. He never did, but then he found me from the story. I invited him over, he and his son over for dinner. He came over with his mom, and she, of course, was super excited to be there, happy. And I after dinner, just gave him space.
Right.
Just gave him space. I was like, just tell me all about it, brother.
Yeah.
Then Aaron just happened to have a couple terrible things happen in a short period of time, which now, 2,500 hours later of leading men's support groups I've done, observationally, that's what it is for men. We just happen to have 1 to 2 terrible things happen in a short period of time.
Yeah, it hits you.
And any of us, you and I, go into some level of suicide ideation where we're questioning our value and worth.
Yeah.
And for him, it was an impending divorce.
Oh,
Some terrible words spoken to him in passing, saying, you're never going to see your son again. You don't make enough money. Something like that.
okay.
And so as a man, he's questioning everything right there.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to have a wife. I'm not good enough to be a dad. I'm never going to see my kid. And no, I don't make enough money. So what do I bring? Nothing, I guess. And so that's ultimately what took him to the overpass. And so we started Googling resources in Utah. I just wanted to help the guy.
Yeah, right.
And we found nothing. I mean, there were some generalized campaigns and groups and some things with our partners, like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We work very closely with them, but nothing specifically for men. Or in Utah, it's a very heavily marketed, like retreat-based men's organizations. For $5,000, you go to Costa Rica in 5 months or whatever and have a kumbaya. But nothing like for Aaron. Nothing for the average Joe. And so I was like, dude, I think I can help you. I think, what about this? And I'm talking to him. I got a buddy who's been in my fantasy football league the last 20 years. I know he's a therapist. I know he's got an office on Provo. How about talk to him, see if I can use his space, and we'll start a group for you, and just to try to get you some connection, people to talk to. And so I called just close friends, close family members who are bros, and we met there, and we started having this group with Aaron. And then I started getting guys who I didn't know who were there. I'm like, who are these people?
Wow.
And it was just very reflective of the need in the community for men. And so ultimately I had this first group in Provo. It got and this is before I was a nonprofit. I was just a dude, I still am. But then I opened one in West Jordan, and it started growing, going crazy. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, well, again, this come to Jesus moment. It's like, is this all you're going to do, or can you do more? And so I was like, yes, I can. I know this is my life now. This is what I do now. I need to help.
It's amazing.
And so I started a nonprofit specifically for men's mental health and suicide prevention. And I fittingly called it the I Love You Bro Project.
Yeah, how fitting, right?
Yeah. Now we have 13 weekly support groups throughout the state of Utah. We'll have 17 by the end of this year.
Wow.
And we served over 5,000 men in Utah, and Aaron's one of them. He's just one of them.
Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. I'm blown away how that obviously very traumatic's maybe the wrong word maybe it was for you.
It absolutely was.
Yeah, and all the good that has come. It's like it almost like woke up this purpose inside of you that was always there, but you had to go through something like that for you to go, oh, this is what I need to be doing.
I couldn't explained it better than the way you just did. It was it awakened what I feel everyone has, a fire that just needs to be kind of stoked, and we just don't like the way it gets stoked sometimes, and that was the case with me. I can't go over an overpass without getting
I can't even
triggered by it, where my emotions are somebody else's, and I have, bro, not a lot of people know this, but I've had multiple suicide prevention experiences since then. Guys broken into my house.
Wow.
Yeah, and guys who need help.
Yeah.
Guys who've come to presentations that I've had and brought gun to, it's just this is my life now.
This is your life.
It's kind of like just being who I am and talking about it so often and providing the spaces that we provide invites that type of the type of thing to happen. And so we have I just found out this morning from that first group I started with Aaron, one of our bros, to my knowledge, the first bro died by suicide. who I hadn't seen in over he travels abroad, and he died in Tokyo, and it just hit me like first one. You know, you'd like to think that, you know, we have this, I've had this, where you talk about it so often, and people come to you and they share with you the story that you would think that everyone you know who's struggling will come to you,
right?
Because you're that guy, they're that Joe loves you, bro guy, and it just taught me a lesson. It's like, you could be all this guy, you could be this Joe loves you, bro dude. You could be so open and helpful and go over the top with love for people, but people will still die by suicide that are within your friends or loved ones will, and that's not on me. You know, it's not on me, and it's tough to own that.
Sure,
you know, I feel very heavily as I've thought about it today. It's not the I Love You Bro project to save men. That's Jesus's job. But it is the I Love You Bro project's obligation to support men.
Wow, I love that.
And so that's what we do.
Well, beautifully said. Thank you for sharing. I know you're a man of faith. How is your faith, like, you know, obviously you mentioned a little bit of it already. How has that helped guided you and just, I guess, magnify the confidence you have that you can be an instrument to help those that, you know, that need it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, as men and as dads, husbands, we put so much of our purpose into our spouse and into our kids, and that's a good thing, but we put everything in, which is a bad thing, and I found that out as I've been a single dad, putting everything, all of my joy, my purpose. Now I have faith and I believe in God and I love Jesus, and I put some of that in there to serve others like He would, the best that I can, but the majority of it into my kids and into my family. Some of us men put it into a job as well. We get fulfillment from that.
Yeah.
But what happens to us when those things are removed?
Yeah.
And, you know, many of our men in the I Love You Bro project, we're at about 66% single, divorced, widowed, or separated. And so they have no family to serve. They have no support structure at home to give them emotional support. And even the ones who are checking the box of married doesn't mean they're happily married.
Yeah, right.
You know? So for me, with my faith, the Lord gave me some new contact lenses to start looking at my life on, because I have an oldest daughter who served an LDS mission, and I was like, oh, I can't. It was so difficult for me to let her go, and then I'm like, my kids are growing up, and then what happens? What then now, bro? What are you gonna do with your life? And then the overpass happened, and then, you know, I Love You Bro's been growing with my kids, helping. And so with my faith, I know that God was very in the works, in the details, in every step of the way. I had a friend die. My best friend died by suicide in 2017. His name was Aaron. Aaron.
No way.
And Aaron, my new Aaron, is Aron.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and that's a very uncommon way to spell that
Yeah,
name.
it is.
And so I always had regret for not being there enough. I was going to have dinner with him. He said he really needed to talk, and he just couldn't hold out, you know, for whatever reason. And I always had regret, and a lot of us do, especially when we're connected to suicide and people who are struggling. Man, what should I done, or, you know, said something more, and, you know, just like I'm experiencing today with this bro, who came, and I look back at my messages to this bro today on Facebook, and he had responded to a post that I had on a story, and it said, "Who wouldn't want a big hug from Joe?" You know?
Yeah.
And he said, "I love you, bro." And then I responded, "I love you too, bro." And that was, you know, a long time ago, but at least I could lean into that's what he thought. You know, when he thought of me, he thought of a hug. He thought of, and it was the same with my best friend too. That I left saying I love you, bro. This is well before I love you, bro. That's just my language.
Just what
how I communicate it.
Yeah.
My words of affirmation to him. And so, but God was absolutely there with me, with Aaron. That was the prayer that was who I needed at that time. And
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode.
And he let me know the actions that needed to take place with that arms open, with the words that needed to be said, the I love you, bro, and what would resonate with Aaron. Now, that doesn't mean that would work every time with everybody, but it certainly was a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
With him. And I tell Aaron often, I love you, bro. And he always says, thank you for saving my life. And then I always tell him, thank you for saving my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he saved yours too.
He's absolutely did. God right there between the two of us. He knew I needed help. I was going to start drinking again. And I have not. And I want to say that I haven't had any temptation. Of course, it's always kind of a lingering little pebble in the shoe sometimes, but substantially less temptation to drink again, because that shoved me into that arena.
Right, absolutely.
And so that's
amazing.
I tell him and all the guys within our support groups, Aaron saved my life. He's a rock star amongst all of our support groups, his name. And so he very much did for both of us in totally different ways.
It reminds me of a quote by Mark Twain where he says, the two most important days of a person's life were the day they were born and the day they found out why.
Yeah.
And man, you found your why, man. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And then, I Love You Bro project was born. And like you said, look at what you're doing and look at how it's spreading. And like you even said, people are showing up out of the woodwork you didn't even know. And it goes to show that there are so many men, and you even have this on your website and it's a quote by Henry David Thoreau that, the mass of men or the most men live lives of quiet desperation. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you your thoughts on why is it that men in general, because we're talking about men right now, prefer maybe isolating in silence versus connecting. Obviously, there's people starving for the connection because it's proof of your groups. Yeah. People are showing up. But in general, it feels like men, they just want to just live in the silence and just shove it down and try to pretend everything's okay.
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? And I can speak to what our data says.
Yeah, please.
And so I have my opinions on why things happen, but what our data shows. So I asked, I collect all of our, I should say first, all of the guys who come to any program we have, they're all in person. I make dudes get uncomfortable. You work to get here. You get here. You put in the work.
Something about being in person.
In person, you and I doing this here, much different than if we're doing it.
I agree.
And
couldn't agree more.
That connection there. And so every time they come to a group, they scan a QR code. They answer 10 to 12 questions, somewhat of a clinical intake form, but with just the I love you, bro spin on some of the questions.
Sure, yeah.
And just ask them about what emotions they're experiencing, what challenges they're facing, how their relationships are at home, things like that. And then we collect thousands of these, and then we can then analyze it. Me and my board clinicians will analyze some of the trends and see what needs are the highest or the greatest, and then address them through our mental health workshops. So right now, when I ask men, why don't you reach out? Okay. And I give them multiple options, and they can check all the boxes or they can check none of them. There's I'm afraid of being a burden. Don't want to change people's perspective of me, and I want to feel that, and can go on and on. And the number one reason is men do not want to burden loved ones with their burden.
Gotcha.
And not to the point where we think we're a burden and it's just this insurmountable thing that, some of them may, but, more like we know that our loved ones are already have things going on that we don't want to add to that.
Gotcha.
And so we know that men, that is easy. It was something like 65% selected that box.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And so being a burden, absolute, and you and I could have probably guessed that.
Yeah.
But that's an absolute thing after 3,000, surveys. And so, then I started getting a little bit more specific. How comfortable are you reaching out to your spouse? How comfortable are you reaching out to your family, friends, therapist, spiritual leader?
Yeah.
On and on. And the data that came back with that was even more interesting. We have, 988 is the crisis, National Crisis Suicide Hotline. And 8% of our men said that they would feel comfortable enough. Only 8. Okay. Jeez. Now, mind you, this data is being collected from men who are already seeking help by their attendance at this support group.
Yeah.
So if these guys are, only 8% of these guys will reach out to 988, then the assumption then would be that the community, the society is worse than what these guys are experiencing.
Yeah.
So it was 8%. It was the least selected one.
That's wild.
The next was spouse and partner. 13% said that they were comfortable reaching out in a mental health or emotional crisis. Family was 15%. Spiritual leader was right after that, like 16-ish%.
Yeah.
The most saddening was God. I am so ashamed of these feelings that I have, that I believe in a God that is all powerful, that loves me no matter what, but I'm so ashamed of these feelings that I'm experiencing that I can't talk to him. Yeah. So then I started digging a little bit more. I started saying, well, why don't you want to reach out specifically to your spouse, to your family, to your spiritual leader, to God? And for the spouse and partner, number one reason was I didn't want to be burdened to my spouse, but not too far after that was I didn't want that used against me later. A weaponization of emotion.
Yeah.
Where I share this with you, it's going to come back up later. It's going to be used against me in a fight or an argument.
Yeah, wow.
And so right after that, and that was the biggest, or the second biggest reason why men wouldn't share with their spouse. So when I share that with women, well, my husband, a lot of them get kind of, sit up a little. Well, listen, these facts don't have feelings. They're just what they are. Yeah. Now it gives you feelings. It gives me feelings. You know, we have a response to them. Yeah. But they are what they are. Yeah. Now, if that's the case, then we need to have workshops for women on how to better communicate with and listen and to show empathy for men. And so we have monthly mental health support workshops called I Love You Sis for women to help communicate and to help listen, all of these things, these best practices for women to help. And so when we're talking about men and why with mental health, I ask what mask feels the most comfortable for you to wear. And I've got humor, spiritual, gym bro, business bro, go father, all this guy. And humor overwhelmingly in Utah. The humor mask, the guy who's jovial, the jokester, that is the number one. Interesting. Yeah, it's 70%. Whoa. Overwhelming humor. Wow. And I thought actually spiritual would be that was further down. It was something like 20%. Yeah. And I thought that would be higher just considering the culture here. Yeah, right. And the faith-based culture, but it wasn't. It was humor, the number one. Now they could have selected all of them, but all of these different masks, but the humor one is the most selected. So the men are reporting that they use that humor as the mask, the choice mask, when they're feeling some of the heavy feels. And so we know why they're not communicating them. Now it's like, why are they feeling this way?
Yeah.
Then the why becomes, why are men experiencing loneliness? If we're at 70%, why are the men feeling or are experiencing negative self-talk and shame at 60% of them? Why is that?
Yeah.
You know? And so as we're collecting data from these guys, it's clear that these, many, we're at about, I think it's 38% unemployment or underemployed. So we're putting a lot of value in what we make, our money.
Yep.
And some of these guys they put their value in it and they don't have it. So they don't have a family at home.
Yeah.
The numbers are saying they don't have a spouse to support them with these heavy emotions. And now we're just talking about men who are being home, who are feeling miserable, and they don't have a source or an outlet to feel that. Even, we have the vast majority of our groups are filled with Christian, God-fearing people, men, and they cannot find that at church either. And I know just through my own experiences that church is a place where we talk a lot about Jesus, and we talk a lot about the emotions he felt, and we talk a lot about repentance, but we don't talk a lot about the road that bridges between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that road
is a good point. We don't.
Yeah. The road goes through shame and loneliness and negative self-talk and stuff that guys just can't, they don't have an opportunity to talk about those things.
Yeah.
You don't see a guy up on, I'd love to do it when I speak. I'll have, how many guys are watching pornography? And it's like shocking.
Everyone's like,
it's
do I raise my hand?
Bro. The women are looking at me like, wow, how could you dare say that?
Yeah.
And the guys are like looking at the other guys. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, the demographic is the majority when I present mostly women.
Yeah.
And I love to pick on some of the guys that I do see because I love them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And so I raise I'm like, I have probably last time, I'm just telling them, probably last time was about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And the women are just like, what is going, oh my gosh, Joe. And I said, now your guys' perspective of me has changed.
Yep.
Wow, that's Joe. Now all you can think of as Joe is that guy who watches pornography.
Yeah.
And that's why, men, we don't want to talk about some of these things.
What a lesson, because you're right. The view changes, but also how amazing for you to be that vulnerable to do that.
Yeah, and plus it comes with I just don't give a shit. Excuse my French.
That's all right. No.
Excuse my French.
I love it. No, you're
I just
good.
don't care. At this point, I am an open book to people. I talk very openly about my alcohol. I was a Sunday school president for a long time in our church, and I would drink in between classes. I'd go to my car. It was a functioning alcoholic.
Wow.
And people were like, I can't believe you would. Joe is the guy who did that now. That's what I think about when I think of Joe.
Yeah.
And whatever you want to think about me, that's cool. That's on you. But if we're talking about men's mental health, and we're talking about men in general and the way they think and they process, it may not be alcohol. It may not be pornography. It may be something else. Yeah. But they just don't have space. There's not been a space created for them, either in the home or outside in the church, that men can truly be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Why can't I share that I watch pornography?
Yeah.
Oh, is that going to make you want to watch pornography?
Yeah.
Why are we thinking this is this thing? No, I watch pornography and it's been killing me. Yeah. And it's been killing my relationships. You can talk about these things, but it's been shunned and it's been looked down upon. No, you shouldn't talk about that. That I could sum up, my brother, is why men don't talk about some of these things.
For sure. Wow. Thank you for being vulnerable right now.
Absolutely.
That's powerful, Joe. So powerful. I was reading a recent post of yours where, kind of on the same line here, like we can't help fix the problem around suicide if we don't even mention the word suicide. Yeah. And I thought that's going against the grain a little bit, because now a lot of people are saying, don't even say the word. Yeah. So I love that you pointed that out. If we can't say the word, we give it so much power.
It's so much shame attached to it.
Yeah.
There's and I don't know why. I think I can make some guesses on why that is. There's the shame attached to it is that person didn't pray enough, or they didn't.
Yeah.
It was on them to reach out, and they cared less about their family. That's why they did this. They're so selfish. Suicide's attached to those shameful, expressions that person. It's you don't know what that person was experiencing, and thank you, Jesus, you don't know.
Right.
Or else you would be feeling the same way.
100%.
And so when we're talking about these support groups for men with the I Love You Bro project, these are spaces where I've had a bro come in where he's like so overwhelmed with suicide ideation that he's sobbing uncontrollably and he doesn't know what to do with these feelings. Okay. And so I'm sitting there with my arm around him in a room full of, 12 bros. And I say, fellas, raise your hand if you've had suicide ideation. And almost the whole room raises their hand.
Right.
And this bro looks around, and he's like, not that the pain was taken away, but there is a realization there that I'm truly not alone.
Yeah.
We say all the time, bro. We market it. You are not alone. And it means well, but it's not impacting men specifically. We can't connect with that message because we're so visual.
Yes.
With what connects with us.
Yeah.
You take pornography, man, overwhelmingly, we're visually stimulated.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about a visual representation of reality for suicide, this bro, it just flooded him, overran with it. And he's like, I cannot believe, it's the only thing you could say, that there are so many guys who have been experiencing this. And I asked that question very easily, and these guys rose their hand without looking around, or just they raised their hand because of the space that was created.
Yeah, wow.
I have the space that I took. Yeah. The idea, bro, was to take the space on the overpass. Aaron and I were able to create this space together.
Yep.
That was just I Love You Bro space. And then to duplicate it and franchise it throughout the state of Utah, that men can have a space like that where they can come and not have to look at the other bros and be like,
yep,
that's me,
man. And what I love about your groups and what you're telling me here, so one, yes, it's great to have the connection. Everyone can raise their hand without any shame, but I love that you call everyone bro, because that in itself connects us. Like the second I met you out the door here, you called me bro, and I instantly felt like, hey, I know this guy. And I get teary as I'm saying this.
I do too, bro.
I just want you to know that in itself, that's why those words were so powerful to Aaron. I love you, bro. I think in that moment, in that instant, he was like, oh my gosh, this guy gets me.
Yeah.
I'm not only am I not alone, but this guy really does love me. I don't know. I love that you call everyone bro. I think that's the connection piece.
I call my mom bro. I call my kids bro. I mean, it is a term, is the absolute ultimate. Thank you, by the way, for being vulnerable with me, man. And I love those tears. They're sacred tears to me, brother. Yeah. It is the absolute term of endearment from me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys will say, you say I love you, bro, to everybody. I'm like, yeah, but it never. I always mean it. I never not mean it. Yeah. And with Aaron, it just happened to be something that really resonated with him. But we just had a service activity where we went and picked up trash for this organization in Salt Lake. We picked up trash at the overpass. Oh, and this organization, her name's Kathy, Salt Lake City Trash Collective. Uh-huh. Her son died by suicide, and he loved to beautify the earth. And so I was like, let's do it. We'll get all the guys and we'll come do service together. And we did. And we picked up 200 pounds of trash just in this overpass, beautifying the sacred space that I have, that overpass. Sure. And then one of my bros, my buddy Joe, who comes to our Lehigh group, he brought his two sons. They're like, 14, 16. Yeah. And they're kind of dealing with the sons thing. Yeah. And I was like, thanks for coming, bro. And I'm hugging him. And then afterward, Joe tells me, man, my son's really got a big kick out of you calling him bro, and I'm like, because they're just little bros,
Yeah.
And so all of the guys here, I don't care how old they are or how, young they are, they're all my bros. There is a connective, that is connective language for me. We are, our data shows for men, I ask the question, when in a mental or emotional crisis, choose which option would benefit you the most or help you, something like that. And it is the love languages. I have, words of affirmation. And I give an example, the physical touch, the, gifts, the service,
quality time.
And overwhelmingly, quality time is the number one. It's 55%. They can only choose one. 55%. So over the half the guys chose that one.
Interesting.
Words of affirmation and physical touch are about the same at 20-ish, 19-ish percentage. But it's clear that if we can make intentional time for each other, with put it in the books, okay? And that's what the guys love about our groups, is that I'm putting in the books weekly, 90 minutes. You're gonna feel loved here. 90 minutes intentional presence.
And who doesn't want that?
Yeah, and who doesn't want that,
right?
Bro? Just invest 90 minutes to come on out and do some self-love and self-care for yourself in a space where we can all call each other bro.
It's amazing. And man, hats off to you for doing this. It's so needed. And obviously it's growing. What are your plans with this? I mean, obviously you're in the state of Utah and you're getting new groups all the time. Is that just the plan, to continue to just grow these groups, or do you got other things in your sights that you want to do?
Yeah, bro. I'm ambitious, bro. Yeah. I know. I would have never thought that it got this, that I would be doing this. Yeah. I did know, I am that guy. I think I am a glitch. I mean, I do. I am that guy who will go for, especially when you've experienced so much with these guys, that I will fight for them.
Yeah.
I'll just keep.
That love breeds more love, right? It just does. And it just fuels
Absolutely. So the goal has been to give every man in the state of Utah, every bro, access to a support group of ours, 15 to 20-minute drive. And so I think by the end of next year, maybe the beginning of 2028, we will actually reach that goal. And then from there, I will be filing a 501c3 with Idaho and Nevada. We'll go into Vegas. We already have a huge demand, and it will go nationwide. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I had our friends at the AFSP came to me and said, Joe, man, you got all these groups opening up. Did you think that it was going to be like this? And I was like, yes. I know the demand. The demand is there. It's silent, but it is there. It exists.
Therefore, it's going to grow because it's.
And I put in the work. Yeah. I put in so much of my time and money and energy into it. Why not? Why not a miracle for me? Why not a miracle for you?
Why not?
Why? We have guys who, who've been unemployed for so long in group, and who they put out resumes. They're going to do interviews, and it's like, wow, I can't get a job. No one wants me. And then suddenly they get a job 6 months later, and they're like, we're just so thankful for this group. And, for you guys supporting me. And I'm like, bro, why not a miracle for you?
Why not?
Well, it's not a surprise. You put in the work, man.
Yeah.
Why not you? Man, why not right now, bro? And so we do operate under that. Put in the work. Yeah. Show up. Choose. In fact, that's our slogan for this year, is choose to join us.
Choose.
Make the choice. Choose to do this. Choose to reach out when it freaking sucks. When life is heavy, choose to join us.
Dang. Yeah.
Choose to be alone will be the counter to what you really want and need.
Yeah.
But if you can choose to join us, to reach out, choose to this, choose to that.
Yeah.
So easy for people to reach out. Hey, I'm gonna reach. It's not that easy, man.
Yeah.
It's not that easy for us.
It's really not.
It's not. But at least you can choose to show up to this space.
Yep.
You can choose to share whatever you feel comfortable sharing,
mm-hmm.
and from there, you can choose to make another series of choices to help yourself and put in the work.
I love it. So cool. If there's someone tuning in right now, Joe, right now, this very minute, and they're struggling, they're in a dark place, what would you tell that one person that's listening to your voice right now?
Oh, man. If you're listening, and you're struggling, I love you, bro. First, I want to tell you that. I love you, bro. And if you think nobody else loves you, just picture my crying, slobbering face, talking. Just at least know that I love you, bro. And the second thing I would say is you are always worth it. Bottom of the barrel or top shelf, wherever in life, you are always worth every ounce of love people want to give you, effort that you need to make for yourself to make yourself better and to put yourself in a better position. You're worth all of the most difficult conversations to have to help you. You're worth reaching out to somebody, and you can. There are spaces, there are people who want to help you. And if you don't think so, we get this thing, bro. We get this thing where when we're in a divorce, especially, we have lots of guys going through a hard divorce,
right?
Where we get tunnel vision on just that divorce, tunnel vision on just our loneliness, tunnel vision on our suicidal thoughts, that we don't have anyone else to help us. No one else can help us. They don't know, is what we think. And then in a group or a space like ours, where they're given space to open and talk and be vulnerable, then that person or that group can help you feel and see peripherally when you're only seeing tunnel vision. So if you're hearing me now, I can say, yes, you are not alone. You aren't. Okay, you probably heard that a lot and you've thought that, but I want you to feel it for me, man. Just, you are not alone. There are people who want to help. I will help however I can. I will listen. If that's the only thing I can do is listen, then I will for you. But have a trusted connection listen for you and cry that. Oh man, I almost have my support group mouth on, bro. I'm sorry. Man.
No, you're good.
Cry that out, man.
Yeah.
Cry that out, and it's fine to cry. Yeah. That's what I do. And then find a trusted connection, share open with them, help them, allow them to help you feel and see a little peripherally of your worth and your value, because you're freaking always worth it, bros. Always worth it, man. I love you, bros.
Wow, well, we love you, Joe.
I love you, bro.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate
that was powerful words, and I just love what you're doing, and I know those words are going to save someone's life just by you sharing those right now. I hear it all the time from this podcast of words like that. So thank you. If people want to reach out to you, Joe, and they want to join your groups and they want to learn more about your project, I Love You Bro project, and donate even, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Sure. You can reach out through our website. It's iloveyoubroproject.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. And so most of our groups, all of our groups, are ran by guys who are unpaid, who just came to me at some point in time, broken, and they found some new fulfillment and purpose in their participation and leading groups for me. But you can reach out. There's a direct message option there where you can type me a message and send it to me. I'm not hard to get a hold of. I'm not hard to find. But I think the most up to date, the best way would be through our social media.
Okay.
Instagram, I Love You Bro Project, and Facebook. I think it's called the I Love You Bro Project or something like that.
Yeah.
Then you'll see me and my crying, slobbering face, and know that I'm with you, bros, man. Whether you can cry or not, if you're crying on the inside, I'll do both of those with you, man. Okay. I would be happy to. It's an honor to have someone come and cry and be vulnerable. It is an absolute honor.
Wow.
So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We'll put those links in the show notes so people can get right to you. And I just want to thank you for taking some time today to be on my show. It means a lot to me. This was a sacred moment for me as well.
Fantastic.
I will not forget this conversation.
I will not forget it either, brother.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Love you too. Seriously. Wow. Well, there you go, folks. I could talk to Joe all day. That hour went fast. I felt like we talked for 5 minutes, honestly, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So thank you, and thanks for tuning in, guys. I know I have a really beautiful following. You guys believe in me. You believe in the messages that we're sharing here. Thank you so much. Thanks to my sponsors. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you for believing in me. If you have a loved one in your family, or it's your spouse, or it's someone at work, or it's your neighbor, it's a son, or even your daughter, if you don't know what to say to them, have them listen to this episode. Share the link and have them listen. and then follow back up, because there'll be a ton of questions, and you'll have the answers, and lead them towards Joe. Like he said, he's here to talk, he's here to help, and then those groups are available as well. So thanks for tuning in. Love you. And Joe, one last thing, I love you, bro.
Love you, bro.